Well, all right. Hello out there again. This is Beck Barnes and Jim Steadman coming at you with the world-famous Cotton Companion here in the third week of June. Whether you are joining us from Bakersfield, California, or Cook County, Georgia, we are glad that you're stopping in to see what we've got cooking for you today. I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Cotton Growers Senior Editor, Mr. Jim Steadman. Howdy, Jim.
Hello, Beck. How are you doing today?
Doing great, doing great. I know that as the summer has set in upon us, we also have a round of the summertime kind of coughs and sniffles going on.
The summertime crud, yeah.
Exactly, which I have been affected by some too, and I know Steadman's got a little cough today.
So dear listeners, if you hear something that sounds like barking in the background, that's just me turning away from the microphone for a moment.
Please ignore. Please ignore.
Yeah.
So we are back, happy to be here in the studio as outside those heat units are coming on strong here in the Mid-South. My phone told me a little while ago that it feels like 103 degrees outside right now. It's muggy out there, but I will not be stepping out there to find out unless I absolutely have to. Happy to enjoy this conditioned air here in our office. So we know that most of y'all finally have your crops up and going after the trials and tribulations of this 2019 planting season. So we are going to take a look at that crop progress, among other things, a little later in the show. We're happy that y'all are, moving past the flooding and the then almost next week drought that was going on in spots around the Cotton Belt. So before we get started, we want to hear a quick word from our sponsor, Phytogen. We'll do that right now.
Phytogen is pleased to sponsor the Cotton Companion, bringing you the latest news to help you thrive all season long.
So, okay, that was a timely ad from our sponsors, Phytogen, because at this moment we're going to bring you a brief custom content segment featuring our very own custom content editor, Robin Sichtberg, and she recently sat down and spoke with Dr. Robert Lemon, a Phytogen cotton development specialist. So we are going to bring you that custom interview right now.
Hello, I'm Robin Sichtberg, custom content editor for Meister Media Worldwide, which publishes Cotton Grower magazine. And I'm here on the program with Dr. Robert Lemon, Phytogen cotton development specialist. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Robin. Glad to be here.
Well, I know the last time we talked about the challenges of the later, cooler spring season. But this time, I'd like to ask you about your region in coastal and South Texas, which is known for excellent fiber quality. So, thinking of the broader cotton belt, what would you like growers to understand about producing excellent fiber quality?
Yeah, Robin, fiber quality is key. Fiber quality and yield, that marriage is what drives value per acre. And so at Phytogen, we take that very seriously. We have some great new varieties that have excellent fiber quality parameters, and one of those is Phytogen 350 in early maturing, Phytogen 480 mid maturing, and Phytogen 580, which is a full season maturity. The other really nice aspects of those three varieties is that they're all bacterial blight resistant. And in addition, they are all root knot nematode resistant. So from a belt-wide perspective, bacterial blight and root knot nematodes are two very difficult issues that we often face. And to have that built in to the genetics of the varieties is really key, because you get season-long protection from that Phytogen breeding trait.
Yield and quality, of course, are what everyone's aiming for, but what other features should growers be considering when they're selecting their varieties?
Well, here at Phytogen, Robin, we certainly embrace yield and fiber quality as paramount in developing varieties, but we also are strongly focused on delivering what we call Phytogen breeding traits to our growers, which is additional value in terms of managing many of the key diseases that we face across the cotton belt. A couple of those would be verticillium wilt, which is a big problem in the High Plains region of Texas, and reniform nematode, which is a problem pretty much across the cotton belt. And so we're focused on those two issues, in addition, of course, to what we've already done with bacterial blight and root knot nematode. I think one of the things that's key, Robin, is that anything we can do that provides season-long protection for that plant is what's really going to be beneficial. And at Phytogen, we're doing that today.
Okay, well, thank you. Those things are very important, and sometimes not everybody is thinking about that. But we have to wrap up now, so I'm going to thank you for being on the program. And growers can find more information at phytogen.com. And thanks, and have a good day.
Robin, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, so a big thank you to Robin and to Dr. Lemon for that. And we want to get the ball rolling here. This is, I should have mentioned earlier, this is our 50th episode, which we're very proud of. Steadman sent me an email earlier calling it our golden episode.
Our golden episode, that's correct.
I would argue that each episode of the world-famous Cotton Companion is always golden, but it is going to be an especially good one for you. We are going to bring y'all our news segment, as we always do, led by Jim here, and it is featuring the aforementioned crop progress report, among other hot news items. What else are we discussing? I know, well, I don't want to give away too much here, but a longtime friend and source of cotton grower is moving to a new position, and there's a new study out on glyphosate and dicamba volatility, so we're going to get to all that here in a little while. Then after that, we've got a very special edition of the Market Minute segment today, and that features Roian Atwood. He's the Director of Sustainability for Wrangler, and y'all have probably heard, if you've been reading our content on the magazine, or rather in the magazine or online, Wrangler has done this really sharp program this year where they're making these jeans that are branded by state, so that you'll have, say, an outline of the state of Tennessee or the state of Georgia or the state of Texas on the leather patch on the back of these jeans. And so they're sourcing those state-specific jeans to cotton grown within that specific state. So if you're wearing a pair of Wranglers that has a Texas outline on the leather patch on the back, the cotton that was made for those jeans was grown in Texas. So it's a really neat program. I think most of y'all have probably already heard of it. And as I understand it, they have a tough time keeping those jeans in stock because they are so popular and that program's so popular. So Jim here sat down with Roian to discuss that program, among some other topics. So, I'm rambling here, but Wrangler, as y'all will see, continues to be a great friend of U.S. Cotton, so you won't want to miss that episode. So it's a great episode all in all. Without further ado, I want to turn it over to Jim here, who is going to lead us in a more focused discussion of these news items. Jim, take it away.
Thank you, Beck. As Beck mentioned, we're going to start with a look at crop progress for U.S. cotton, and this is going to be based off USDA's June 16 report. At that time, as of that date, 89% of all U.S. cotton had been planted, which was up 14% over the previous week, but still slightly behind, about 5% behind the 5-year average for this date. Biggest percentage increases showed up in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, where they've been dealing with some weather and flooding and other issues, and they're trying to catch up. And we have 11 states in that report that are running close to or just above their 5-year averages. Cotton squaring in the report shows that it's jumped up to 19%. That's up 8% from the previous week, and just slightly ahead of the 5-year average for the cotton belt, which basically tells us that cotton that has emerged is maturing pretty quickly. And to the point that many parts of the Southeast and Mid-South are prepping for a pretty busy plant bug season, as evidenced by a lot of communication in the market from our friends, the extension entomologists. At first glance, cotton condition numbers as of June 16 are essentially unchanged. 49% of the crop is rated good to excellent, 36% of the crop rated poor. That's a 5% swing from fair to good in 1 week, with 15% of the crop still rated poor to very poor. And the highest percentages for those sad acres are reported in Georgia, Kansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and Texas. So looking ahead to the next crop progress report, we're basically anticipating that planting is essentially going to be complete. That report will be issued on the 24th, and at the end of that week, on June 28th, USDA will issue its planted acres report for 2019, not just for cotton, but for all crops. So that pretty much spells the end of the crop planting season. What we're already getting are reports of some uneven stands in many fields. It's certainly going to require some masterful management on growers' parts to help keep those fields evened out as best they can for this season. So that's where we stand with the crop at this point.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. I saw a lot of that when I went home for Father's Day down 61 into the Mississippi Delta, and there's just so many fields with knee high in the middle, and you know,
It just emerged on the edge. Yeah,
just emerged on the edges. It's more pronounced, obviously, in the cornfields and stuff, but there's a lot of that going on, unfortunately, in this part of the world.
Yep, absolutely. Moving on, as Beck mentioned, we have someone in the cotton industry that's on the move. Longtime Texas AgriLife Extension cotton specialist, Dr. Galen Morgan, has joined the staff of Cotton Incorporated as a research director in CI's Agricultural and Environmental Research Division. So in this role, he's going to be primarily focusing on weed and weed management research, subjects that Beck and I will certainly agree that he is uniquely qualified to manage. During his tenure at Texas A&M, his research on cotton agronomy, weeds, and diseases have been published and referred to extensively, and he's always visible and active in a number of various conferences, lectures, and webinars, and I don't think he has ever turned us down for an interview at any point. He was named Beltwide Cotton Specialist of the Year in 2016 by Bayer Crop Sciences, and is a 3-time recipient of the Superior Service Award by Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. Like I said, he's a good friend to cotton grower, and we certainly wish him well on this new important opportunity.
Yeah, I can't help but feel like Cotton Incorporated's gain is Cotton Grower Magazine's loss, because I leaned on him so often whenever we had anything going on, especially for his part of the world, that I guess he was kind of most of Texas, he was covered all of Texas, but he was in College Station. So whenever we had something going on outside of the high plains, I called on Galen early and often. He probably got tired of how frequently I called him. So, but we know Cotton Inc.'s getting a good one.
Yeah, we don't think we're the reason he's moved to Cotton Incorporated. No.
I hope. Well, I'm probably still going to lean on him when he's there too, along with Ed Barnes and the rest of that crew at Cotton Inc.
Yes, just be warned, Galen, if you're listening.
Yeah,
we're still looking for you. Next topic, some recent research by Dr. Tom Mueller and Dr. Larry Steckel at University of Tennessee has shown that higher temperatures and mixing glyphosate with dicamba lead to increased, as they're calling it, atmospheric concentrations. Most of us would refer to it as volatility of dicamba. They examined dicamba measurements following an application to soil inside a humidome, which is a small structure that's placed over the soil in a field. They used 2 dicamba formulations, Clarity and Extendamax, both of which were applied as a mixture with Roundup Power Max, and Extendamax was also studied and applied and studied alone. The applications were made across a range of temperatures, monitored for 60 hours, and then air samplers were used to collect dicamba from the atmosphere within those humidomes. What the study showed is that more dicamba was detected in the humidome as the temperature increased, especially when temperatures topped 85 degrees. The results also showed that across these temperature ranges, adding glyphosate to dicamba formulations increased the dicamba air concentrations by 3 to 9 times compared to dicamba alone. Now, Dr. Mueller said he believes the most plausible explanation for the increased detection of dicamba was that glyphosate lowers the solution pH, which thereby results in more dicamba being in acid form, which is known to increase dicamba volatility and increase the potential for off-target movement. Now, there are a lot more details to the study. This is just the top, the top look at it. More details to the study, including some recommendations for dicamba use in Tennessee. As Beck mentioned, the heat index today is 103. This is not a day they would recommend you be out applying that product. But you can check out the article. It's called Research Shows Temperature, Glyphosate, Increased Probability for Dicamba Volatility. It's on our website at cottongrower.com. And if you want to dive down into even more details, the article includes a link to the paper about the study as published in the Journal of Weed Technology.
Yeah, interesting stuff to come out. I would recommend reading that thing. I bet everyone would be a better neighbor the more informed they are about these things. So that's a good study. I believe that's all you got for us today.
I got one more thing.
Oh, okay.
One more thing, and I always occasionally like to bring something out of left field.
Okay.
Beck's not sure what this is all about. We know that we've had problems getting the crop in the ground this year, and we know we're going to be having some insect issues, and people are gearing up to deal with those. But if you think you're facing insect issues, you need to listen up, because according to Bloomberg, there's a massive swarm of locusts that have migrated from Iran to Pakistan, with Pakistan's prized cotton crop square in its sights.
Oh dear.
So they're saying millions of insects, and I guess that qualifies as biblical proportion.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Have invaded Sindh, which is Pakistan's second largest cotton producing province. And then in response, the government has deployed aircraft and spray mounted vehicles to treat about 10,000 acres as a preventative measure. Now, this is of particular importance for Pakistan because they depend on homegrown cotton for their textile industry, which is their biggest job provider and certainly the country's largest export earner. So current reports had the insects feeding on wild bushes in the Nara Desert, which is about 20 kilometers away from the cotton crop. But local officials are expressing confidence that they will be able to restrict the locust swarm to that area and away for the crops. So, our fingers are crossed for you in your locust management efforts. So.
Yeah, that's a problem we don't need here.
No.
We got our hands full with enough.
No.
That's funny. All right.
And that's all the news.
Yeah, there we go. So worldwide, it's Maestro Media Worldwide. We bring you the global news here at Cotton Grower. So, all right, we will hold up right there. And what we want to do now is bring you that interview with Roian Atwood that Jim conducted, I believe it was last week. Jim, can you tell us a little bit about where you encountered Mr. Atwood and kind of what y'all discussed?
I can. Roian was in the Memphis area last week for the Indigo Ag Beneficial Ag Conference, the first conference that Indigo has brought groups together to talk about sustainability and soil health and things in terms of making a greater, more beneficial ag market. And I had the opportunity to sit down with Roian, as Beck mentioned. He's Director of Sustainability for Wrangler, to talk about their goals for their sustainability efforts, which have been ongoing here for a couple of years on a small basis. They're looking at some expansion, and they're also looking at tying in closely with some of the other sustainability efforts from the National Cotton Council and other organizations. We also talked certainly about the market reaction to date for the Rooted collection of state jeans and shirts that they introduced on Earth Day. I did not realize the timing on that, but that was their announcement timing. So for this episode, we're just basically saying our Market Minute segment is magically becoming the Marketing Minute.
Minute segment, one time only Marketing Minute segment. All right, so good deal, Jim. Appreciate that, and we want to stop right now and bring you that interview. This is Mr. Roian Atwood.
Welcome to this episode's Market Minute. Today we're going to take a little different approach to the market side, and we're going to really kind of rename this our Marketing Minute, because we're going to talk a little bit about some of the marketing aspects or more unique programs that are currently underway in the cotton industry. Today we're joined by Roian Atwood, who's Director of Sustainability for Wrangler out of North Carolina. Roian, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Happy to be here.
Wrangler's been involved in sustainability programs for some time, and we've seen bits and pieces in the industry of things that you're doing in terms of the program. Can you tell me a little bit about the sustainability program that you have? How did it start? What are some of your objectives? And kind of what are you looking to grow it into?
Yeah, great. All great questions. I think when we began this process, we wanted to really understand what sustainability meant in cotton growing. There's a lot of voices out there, a lot of people who have an opinion, a point of view, frameworks, different management frameworks, different certification programs. But we wanted to kind of take a step back. We wanted to reevaluate, and actually, honestly, we wanted to talk with farmers to really understand what's possible and what's meaningful to them, because the last thing we wanted to do was advocate for an approach that didn't have market viability, that didn't support a grower, and at the same time achieve this objective of increasing the environmental performance, which in our mind, after talking with folks, and we actually started in Athens, Alabama with the Newby family and sort of made our way through the Cotton Belt, Eugene Pugh in Tennessee, of course, and Donnie Lassiter from North Carolina, Adam McClendon in Georgia. And after sort of this, and I should also include Vance and Manny Smith from Big Springs, Texas.
Don't forget Texas.
That's right. No, never forget Texas. But, after doing this sort of round robin of interviews and understanding what was possible, we combined with a scientific exploration, because we worked with the USDA and NRCS, right, of course, and asked their opinion. And the conclusion was, hey, there's a real opportunity if a grower were to use these 3 key land stewardship practices, right? That's the use of cover crops, cash crop in the off season, use of a rotation, and they specifically specified a complex rotation, 3 different crops in the same field over a 5-year time frame. Now, what we've heard from growers is that sometimes, depending upon market conditions or proximity to markets, that's a challenge, right? I'm sure that most growers would like to have.
Well, and particularly this year, weather may be a challenge.
Weather is always a challenge, but yeah, you're right. This year. I mean, we were in Tennessee when we saw a significant amount of the field that was flooded out. Eugene Pugh and his family were taking us around, and as that water rises up off the Mississippi and up into some of those lowlands, you're just losing cropland.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for the what's in St. Louis right now. Right. Is coming this way.
Oh, wow.
So we're not, Mid-South's not out of the flooding range yet.
Over 75 inches of rain will do that to you, I guess. But, and then that third key practice was the idea of conservation tillage, right? And just treating the tillage process slightly differently.
Right.
And I recognize that requires another piece of machinery, but there is these 5 growers that we've sort of we've gotten a chance to know and eat at their table, and they've welcomed us into their house, and very grateful for that. They all have been using these 3 practices, and with some great deal of success, and they're seeing the benefits in their soil and their longevity. And when they talk about it, they talk about land stewardship as ensuring the success of the next generation. I think that's their biggest concern.
Exactly.
Yeah, that they're banking that whether it be carbon, nutrients, biomass, or whatever indicator you want to use, that is something that they want to pass on to the next generation.
I think you'll hear that from just about any grower.
Yeah, it makes sense.
At this point, absolutely. Yeah. The natural extension to your sustainability program, I think you announced it on Earth Day, I believe you said today, the Rooted collection. Yeah. And quite honestly, it has really caught the attention of the cotton market. We started getting messages from folks in our office, in terms of, when can I get Arkansas jeans? When can I get jeans from other parts of the country? Tell me about the collection and sort of the strategy behind it, and what you found out so far.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. The initial exploration and talking to these growers, I think the big thing we realized is they have something important to say. Yes. They have an important story to tell, and it's a story about their commitment to land stewardship. And how can we take that commitment and put it up into product in a way that people will take notice? How can we put it up into product in a way where we can celebrate the best of place, the best of where people come from, and just collaborate with that. And I think that was what gave birth to this, what we call the Rooted collection, which is, it's there's 2 meanings if it's not obvious, right? The roots of our family and where we're from, but also the roots in the ground and the structure that we can bring back to soils through good, sustainable practice. And it was a joy. We had a chance to film each of the 5 growers and to spend time with them. And, you have a 2-day shoot, you get a minute and a half of what we call a sizzle reel, right? Where you get all the glory in a short amount of time. And, for the growers to share those videos with their friends, with their neighbors, with their family, that's exactly what we wanted to achieve, the celebration. And it shows up on the jean in a lot of different ways. You've got little embroidered state silhouettes. You've got inside the pocket print, there's a signature of each farmer that just says, this is my cotton. This cotton came from my field. And, for many of these growers, none of the growers have experienced that opportunity before to actually say this product came from my farm, that the cotton in this product came from my farm. And that's what's so unique and different. The fully traceable connection to one individual grower and all their commitments, their family story and their place that they represent. And we made it all in the United States. So that's harder to do these days than you can imagine.
Absolutely.
The supply chains are further apart. Right. There's less and less makers. And we're getting ready to release the last 3 states before July 4th. So you'll still, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia have yet to be released. Yeah. So those 3 states are coming up real soon.
Anticipation's building.
I'm getting excited. Yeah.
So what are you hearing from like retailers on this? Any response? I think when you initially announced it, they were available online at Wrangler.com.
That's
correct?
Right. Yeah.
What about retailers and excitement? Any interest? What are you hearing from them?
Yeah, there is excitement. Yeah, we've had a few different retailers get excited about it. We will be releasing some in retail in the fall. Okay. We started with our direct to consumer online. That's important because we had to, like anything, you have to test it, right?
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, if this was a terrible failure, then we're not going to take it to any retailers, right? But coming in the fall, we'll be bringing it to some key retailers yet to be announced. But I think it's something that once we spend so much time and focus to get it right with all these components that I mentioned, that the next question became, well, how can we build it? What can we do next? Let's right now the collection is available in a men's jean only, men's silhouette, and we very quickly said, you know what, we need a female silhouette immediately.
I'm sure you heard. Yeah. I'm sure you got some feedback on that pretty quickly.
That's right, of course. No, I mean, Wrangler has largely been a male brand, but our female product is really precious to us. So we need to include that in the rollout. We're even talking about what's the future state of taking some of our the Wrangler 5. We affectionately call them the Wrangler 5 internally, but taking some of the growers and having them share with the rest of the world. What's possible, what's capable. And we're in discussion right now about having a global summit around healthy soil stewardship and cotton growing, and maybe taking some of this to Greece and other places and sharing, because there's, cotton's grown off, as we know.
As we know, it's grown around the world.
China, India, Africa, you name it,
right.
And Australia does some nice cotton. But, I think our growers here really knocked it out of the park, and they have an opportunity to really share their wisdom.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. What kind of expansion plans do you have this year? You're looking for more growers to join the program?
Yeah, we just signed up a 6th grower.
Okay.
Still has not been announced yet, but we're very excited at early stages, and they're excited as well. And I think the beauty of the relationship is just to have that dialogue and for us, again, to push our thinking on what's possible. And in some cases, we are working with some of the leaders in the industry, and at the same time, I think some of the next challenge is how do we collaborate and share more? And, if people aren't doing these practices today on farm, that's okay. But look at it, consider it, learn from some of these guys, because, everything's pointing to this is really got a viable future and outcome, land stewardship in general.
Absolutely. I think the cotton industry in general, if you look sort of back over the last 5-6 years, there have been a number of sustainability efforts.
Yeah.
In the market, and yours obviously is one. I think Better Cotton Initiative has had a good program, and National Cotton Council's recently announced a program that they're going to that they're on a pilot basis with right now, hopefully to launch next year. And it seems like all the objectives are pretty much the same, and maybe it's just repetition and coming to the market from all different directions with the same type of message will be a huge benefit.
Yeah, and I think I have a lot of respect for all those frameworks, and I'm really excited about the Trust Protocol and the National Cotton Council and all their initiative around that, and the goals they set for the industry, which are ambitious and challenging, and it's a call to action, right?
Yes.
I think it's a call to action, and I think that's exactly what you're sharing, is that these things are converging at this point, that all of these things, we need to get to the outcomes at this point. Like, I think we have different approaches, we have different systems, but as these things start to converge and focus on how can we improve the outcomes, we're excited to potentially be testing with the Trust Protocol or whomever else. We engage in all the frameworks, and I think that idea of radical collaborating for the future is necessary for future success.
Absolutely. Roian, thank you for your time. This has been great.
again, thanks for joining us. Continued good luck with the program and with the Rudy collection. I think you've got some great direction going on from that perspective. We'll be right back with more of this episode of the Cotton Companion.
So, all right. Well, we want to give a big thank you, obviously, to Mr. Atwood and to Wrangler and to you, Jim, for conducting that interview. We want to thank Wrangler specifically for their support of the U.S. cotton industry. They are a friend to the farmer, as you have probably guessed by now. Okay, so that's going to just about do it for this, the 50th installment, the golden episode of the Cotton Companion podcast. We want to thank Roian Atwood for joining us. We want to thank Phytogen for sponsoring us. And we want to thank you, dear listener, for listening to us, as always. If you like what you're hearing, by all means, tell your buddies about this podcast. That's our best marketing tool, is word of mouth from you guys. So please let them know that you got a new podcast for them to listen to while they're in the cab of the tractor this year. They can get to us in 3 easy ways. The first, simply go to cottongrower.com, add a /companion to that URL, such that it reads cottongrower.com/companion. The second way, good way, simply subscribe to our channel on iTunes or wherever you find your podcast these days. Just type Cotton Companion into that search bar and you will find us. Like us, subscribe, leave us a rating, let us know what you think of how we're doing. The third way, the best way to make sure you get each episode of the Cotton Companion, is to sign up for our weekly e-newsletter, the Cotton Grower e-news. That thing hits your email inboxes like clockwork every Tuesday morning. You can do that by going to www.cottongrower.com/subscribe. Very intuitive from there. Also, make sure you're following us on social media. We are at Cotton Grower Mag on Twitter, and on Facebook you can find us by simply searching for Cotton Grower Magazine. We hope that you're enjoying our latest issue, which would be the May-June issue at this point. We won't have another one for you until our August-September issue. So to keep up with Cotton Grower's content, check online. Check at cottongrower.com this summer to get your Cotton Grower fix. This podcast is produced by Mr. Tyler Hatch. He works at the mothership, Meister Media Worldwide, in beautiful Willoughby, Ohio. My name is Beck Barnes, and I will be back with you in 2 weeks for the next episode of the Cotton Companion. For now, on behalf of my own Cotton Companion, Jim Steadman, we wish you and your farm all the best.
All day. God made it fun.
Phytogen thanks you for listening to this edition of the Cotton Companion. To learn how you can thrive with Phytogen, go to phytogen.com.